Hi, Newbin, I'm here.
You are muted, Mr. Vakoya.
Of course I am. How did that happen? Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Just give me 1 second. I have a request for a speaker and I want to send you all some handouts from the speaker just so you'll have them in your possession before we start. So just give me 1 second. All right. Did that. I'll start recording in 1 minute. Is there anything I need to know before we get started? Hi.
Hi, question for you. Do you need me to share my screen with the slide deck?
Yes,
Okay.
please. I have it. Well, actually, I don't think I do I?
No, I sent it to you, but it has the wrong date, so we can go with the one I have.
Okay. All right. So sure, you can share your screen. If you need me for anything, just let me know. All right, Aiden, Mr. Chair, Muratovich, are we ready to get started? Is the chair here? If you are, I cannot hear you.
I don't think I see him on the list
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Do you want me to kick it off and then we'll let him step in? Because I do expect he's supposed to be here.
Okay, let's do that. Yes, we also have two speakers, so let me just announce that first, please, Mr. Vice Chair, and then kick it over to you.
That sounds great.
All right, let me get started with the recording. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 9th, 2026 Transportation Commission meeting. It is 7 p.m. and we are starting. My name is Anumi Duno-Bikoria and I am the Transportation Commission liaison. This meeting is being recorded, so please turn off your mics unless you're speaking. But before we start with the agenda, do we have any speakers on items not on the agenda, except for Miss Susan Campbell and Dixie Duncan? Okay, well, with that, I will turn it over to you, Susan, to kick us off. Is she not on the call yet? Okay, we'll go back to her. Miss Dixie Duncan, are you on the call? I know you're with us because you just emailed me some materials to send to the commission. Let me just check. I see somebody waving. Is that you, Dixie?
Okay, is that it? Am I on now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, you want me to go ahead?
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Dixie Duncan, and I live on Carlin Springs Road. I'm a member of the Glen Carlin Community Civic Association, and I'm the transportation coordinator for our community. And I wanted to just call to your attention the problem with Carlin Springs Road. We just had another house. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but 3 students have been run over in the last 16 months. And that's in the handout that I gave you. It basically gives, I'll just kind of start with that handout. It's On June the 2nd, another student was hit. So that makes the third student that was hit on Carlin Springs Road in the last 18 months. Statistically, it is one of the most dangerous corridors in Arlington County. I sent you something from Peter Rousselet that was written in 2021. It identifies the street as a hotspot. It also talks about his concerns and why the counties has not really met the citizens' demand because there's been very little done to the street to improve safety. That was written in 2021. I also sent you a Vision Zero. That Vision Zero study didn't have a date on it, but it had projections of things to be done in 2021. And it also had note that this particular intersection of the road has been noted as a hot spot in 2017. So that's about 10 years ago. So this road is beyond dangerous. And I think the reason that there's not been enough emphasis put on it is because when the Vision Zero does a study, it doesn't take into account the fact that 4 major schools are in with a 6/10 of a mile radius. And that's over 2,000 students and parents who travel this road every day. And we've had traffic cameras, speed cameras and red light cameras, and there's tickets been issued, but that hasn't changed it. And we've had that since the fall of 2025. So there's definite data. If you go to point 2, there's definite data that confirms the problems, the school safety, the red lights. And then, so you already have Vision Zero's already studied. You already have red light study. You already have speed reduction. However, the only thing that has happened is we are getting sidewalks, but sidewalks are not going to change the danger of this road. This road is only 40 feet wide. It's supposed to be 48 feet wide. There's no way to pull off this road on the west side from the start of Kenmore at 50 to 3rd Street. There's a complete sidewalk barrier, so you can't even pull off if there was an emergency vehicle. This is truly a public safety issue, not only for the students, for the residents of the Glen Carlin community, because a fire truck could not get into us if it was rush hour or the dismissal of the school.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm finished.
Time's up,
Okay,
yes.
well,
You can
I
finish
gave
this
you
sentence.
the information if you want to get back to me on anything. And just the other thing, we talked to many people in the community, the board, the school board. We met with Chief Penn yesterday. We just need some support from whomever can give it to us to help us find a solution
ma'am.
before someone dies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated for your time. Is Miss Susan Campbell on the call? Okay, with that, I see Mr. Chair Muradovich is here. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
with- I need to share the agenda, don't I?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Are you all seeing my screen? It looks like something is happening here. Can you hear
No,
me?
We can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we'll turn it over to our first speaker, Christine Baker with the Vision Zero Action Plan update.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anubidun. I'm gonna, Dan, you
Oh,
can give an intro while I update
Yep.
the,
I'll do a quick intro.
I'm sorry, I'm Sue Campbell. I was here. It's just my husband's computer.
Oh, okay.
So if you want, I can speak at the end.
How about, since I would prefer if you spoke right now, even though it's a little bit out of order, but because we just had the speaker on South Carlin Springs, it's and I'm assuming you're going to be speaking about VHC, which is on that site anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
they're kind of connected.
And I always say, I don't have 4 minutes. They are connected. I am Sue Campbell and I'm on the working group, and so is Dixie for the VHC. On behalf of the Glen Carlin Civic Association, I'm here to talk about the South Campus on Carlin Springs Road, and most of our neighbors understand the critical need for and support the behavioral health services in Arlington, and we want to ensure that this new facility integrates well with adjoining neighborhoods, 3 schools, and our historic natural and recreational resources. VHC plans to build on the south half of the site, and the county has not determined how the land on the north side will be used. We urge you not to support any construction or staging on the north parcel until plans for the future have been presented and vetted with the community. It does not make sense to build an asphalt path across a resource protection area that creates a connection to our neighborhood before deciding how the north parcel will be used. That should be a completely separate planning, design, and review process that considers the impact on the immediate watershed, the historic significance of the Moses Ball Spring area, and additional traffic and parking into the neighborhoods. We understand the appeal of requiring VHC to cover the cost as a public benefit, but do not think that should outweigh the appropriate planning processes and the rigorous review. Please put the path on hold. And I would just like to say the idea of it being the community benefit is throwing a lot of really goodwill out the window. And we just talked to Dr. Young yesterday, and I asked her about the path, and she said she doesn't do bikes, she just does safety. And I said, well, we had already talked for an hour and a half, so I didn't want to hold her up. But I understand Vision Zero, but the whole point is that this path would increase car traffic into those 4 roads that lead to the worst section of Carlin Springs Road. And 2, in theory, if you added bikes, I mean, I saw the 2040 plan for all these bike paths all over the place near our neighborhoods. And I just feel like adding bike paths that go into these very narrow streets is not the way to go, not to mention the fact that it's a 250-foot drop from the top of that hill to the bottom of the hill. So it's not practical, especially when the bike facility is going to be at the bottom of the hill. And if you want people at that facility to be able to access the nature center, I can't imagine how you're going to get them down that hill without a sled. I mean, you've heard me say this before, and we have met with you guys 5 times, right? County board 4 times, Open Door Mondays 4 times. We have a girl that quit her job
1 minute
at Carlin Springs Road, at Carlin Springs Elementary, because she had almost gotten hit 7 times and she hadn't told her dad. So she was crossing at the 5th Road interchange. And since the board members have come and walked it all, things have changed as far as I can tell once they were walking on that road. And I said, hey, you can't cross at 5th Road. Don't even try it. I don't want to be liable for that. So I think that you need to really take it seriously, and we need to put that on hold, that whole aspect of it. So I really appreciate your time, and I've learned a lot in this process, and I think that I'm going to definitely be paying attention more in the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Campbell, and Ms. Duncan earlier. I think a lot of complaints about Carlin Springs Road, and I think a big part of it is that, in contrast to a lot of other parts of Arlington, that is kind of a grid. Here you have the grid being really broken up, and it's the only road going through not only a neighborhood but connecting all of these schools. So it's a very difficult road to manage, and I think this sets it up as a good segue to the first agenda item on the Vision Zero action plan.
Great.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and get started, and wanted to just start off by thanking you, Mr. Chair, the rest of the commissioners for your continued support for Vision Zero and the program. The plan update that Miss Baker is going to present today is the plan that's going to carry us to 2030, which is our goal of 0 fatalities or serious injuries on our roads. What you'll see is the plan is it really keeps those core foundational elements, such as it being data driven, which is important, but gives us some additional flexibility to look at what are some of the emerging trends and challenges we see on our transportation network. I think the really important piece too that is grown through the engagement is recognizing that that our engagement as part of this process is going to be year-round. It's going to hit a lot of different touch points so that we can improve our partnerships across the county. So really appreciate your attention tonight and allowing us to speak about the plan. With that, Christine, please take it away.
Thanks, Dan. And thanks again for having us back. And thanks, like Dan said, for your continued support and advocacy for Vision Zero. I'm Christine Baker, the Vision Zero Program Manager. We're here to talk about a 5-year update to Arlington's Vision Zero Action Plan. That's our Transportation Safety Action Plan. And the plan will cover 2026 to 2030 on our road to Vision Zero by 2030. So when we last presented to you in April, a couple months ago, we were in the middle of our second phase of public engagement. So I shared some preliminary results of that engagement, but we can now dig into the overall results and then how we use that feedback to update the action plan. So I'll run through a quick glimpse of the timeline. Then I'll jump into community feedback. We'll talk about the updates, and then we'll look forward to talking next steps and hearing your discussion. So looking at the timeline, it's kind of wild to see that we're at the end of this year-long effort to update the action plan. With your support, we would be moving this item to the county board as a request to advertise at their July meeting, and then we would present the action plan for adoption at their September meeting. We conducted our second round of engagement in April to May of this year, and that included hosting an online feedback form, which received 132 responses. We also we advertised the form through newsletters, e-blasts, lawn signs, through community partners like our external stakeholder group, and at 2 library kiosks with mail-in options. And so, that's kind of the standard effort that we do with the online form, but then we always try to expand that outreach, knowing it's not going to get to everyone. So we host about 6 pop-ups at events at intentional locations and events across the county, and that resulted in over 650 interactions, which we documented and combined with the online feedback form to get to the data that we'll show. So overall, we saw a high level of support for all of the action items. About 80% of people supported the specific action items set forth. And we developed those action items based on the community feedback from the phase 1 engagement that we did in October last year. And that really focused on key safety issues, identifying needs, what people wanted to see different about the program. So we're really excited that, we brought the feedback that we had last time or from the first engagement and brought that to life through the action items, and then saw this community support saying, yes, you captured that well in the new plan. And so the most supported action items were, the VDOT partnership, the Virginia Department of Transportation partnership, standardizing proactive safety, enhancing anti-impaired driving campaigns, advancing construction standards. So that's kind of safety standards around construction areas, using data to drive enforcement, educating young travelers, building traffic gardens to help educate youth, create safe spaces for people, for young people to kind of learn how to walk and bike, and then addressing distraction. So then about 7 to 14% of action items received the reaction, "This needs work," and that allowed people to kind of provide open-ended feedback about the action items. And the ones that received the most feedback were supporting older adult drivers. People wanted to make sure we were focusing on driving alternatives, making sure we are providing options for older adults to get around if they're not comfortable driving, or kind of making sure that the support element was in that one. People also, commented on expanding anti-speeding efforts, wanting to make sure that infrastructure changes would couple with behavior change efforts. We also saw lots of comments on purchase safe vehicles. People were really concerned about the cost benefit of that one. There was also educate young travelers. While it was one of the most supported, it also got a lot of comments, and that included kind of like specific suggestions about education. We heard a lot of feedback about stress distraction as well. Various people kind of specifying phone use enforcement elements, feedback on anti-impaired driving campaigns, and advocacy for safety legislation. And some folks said that, that's not an action the county needs to take, or had specific suggestions. And so on top of this, we also just had open-ended feedback on the Vision Zero framework overall, and things that we heard from the community, kind of in those open-ended questions were, the overall desire for more bike pedestrian facilities or improvements, location-specific observations or comments. We got a lot of those, so we tried to tie the sentiments into the overall picture. We also heard a desire for more focus on enforcement across different types of travel. Also, desire for intersection safety improvements across all modes, and folks wanted to see, speed reduction through various measures that they kind of specified. So that was kind of the overall feedback that we got from the community. So we took all this feedback and we used it to update the action plan draft document. And we adjusted the language on 14 action items to address community concerns or add more detail. And we also added 4 new action items that covered some of the additional concerns that were vocalized by the community. So those included integrating safety with new travel modes, assessing projects with before-after studies. We do that already, but it was kind of integrating it into capital projects, kind of expanding those before-after studies. We also added educate e-scooters and e-bike users into the behavior change element or action items, and reducing lane blockages within the behavior change action items as well. We also removed 4 of the original action items. We removed advocate for safety legislation, and we integrated that specifically into other action items where legislative advocacy, we had opportunities to incorporate that into that action item. We also removed purchase safe vehicles due to concerns related to the scope and the cost implications. We removed track crashes dynamically, and we added that into the program workflow because it wasn't really an action item itself. It was something that we integrated into the overall program structure. So it's still there, just kind of in a different place. And we removed streamlined progress reporting as a specific action item. And again, updated the reporting cycle, which I'll show later in the presentation, just because it kind of was like a one-time action item and it was better placed in the structure. So I'll share more context on each of these. Or there is more context on each of these in the detailed community engagement summary that's linked online. And I think I linked it as an attachment to this presentation because we wanted to make sure that the changes are all very clear and transparent. And the community can see how their feedback went directly into the plan. Another element of feedback that we received from the community and external stakeholder group was the desire not only to see the program metrics or the progress metrics. So that's kind of like for each action item, how we'll track it, but they also wanted to ensure we're tying outcomes, safety outcomes to each action item. So we established key crash or safety-based outcome metrics that help us to understand how the implementation of the action items relate directly to the crash trends and other safety metrics. We also prioritize action items within categories to bring the most urgent action items to the top. And we added the latest crash data into the report because not all 2025 was available at the time of the first draft. We also added some updates on the monitoring and tracking spread, and we also added language from the county attorney's office at the front of the plan. So that is what changed. And We incorporated all these items into the plan, and this is the updated Vision Zero program cycle graphic. So the intent of this graphic, we came up with the idea for it at the beginning, was to really illustrate the various initiatives that fall under the Vision Zero umbrella that has kind of developed over the last 5 years based on the implementation of our first 5-year action plan. So we really wanted this graphic to be a one-stop shop for community members to see all the components of Vision Zero and see that big picture and kind of how it all flows together. And since the first draft of our action plan, there were no changes to any of the initiatives on this graphic. We updated the format to include the engagement element of the cycle because that's a key component of the program that was not captured in that first iteration of the graphic. So no big changes here, but I did want to kind of highlight that this is a great way to encompass the Vision Zero program in one place. And then the final action items, this shows them by category, are kind of going on top of what was shown in the other graphic. So that's kind of the established program. And then these are the items that, we're going to move forward over the next 5 years and integrate into that program workflow as well. So the action items are shown here. The new ones are highlighted with the yellow star. Anything that was updated from the first iteration of the draft to the second has a little pen next to it. And there's 26 action items that will kind of help move us forward in these 4 categories of engineering, engagement, plans and policies, and behavior change. And as I alluded to earlier, we updated the plan to include both progress measures, which are measures to track the work we're doing to implement the action item, and then these outcome measures, which are intended to track the effectiveness of the action item in reducing crashes and severity. So progress metrics are very specific to each action item. They're listed individually in the plan. When it comes to the outcome metrics, they're more universal to the program. So you can see there's metrics that are divided into these 4 categories. And then it's kind of not a one-to-one match, but it's a one-to-many match. So for each action item, you'll see there might be one or more of these outcome metrics that match with the action item. And so the outcome metrics include overall crashes by severity, mode, and age groups. It also includes crashes as related to behavioral factors like speeding, impairment, distraction, red light running. We're also recognizing speeds as a measure of progress, and speeds are directly correlated with the severity of a crash. The third outcome metric category type is by location. So that includes road ownership, road type, crashes at intersections, crash rates in equity areas, school zone crashes and work zone crashes. And last, there's before-after studies, and that's to illustrate outcomes of pilot projects, HIN safety audits, capital projects, and automated safety enforcement efforts. So these really demonstrate the before-after of those elements. So we wrap up the plan by explaining the timeline at which we'll follow each step within that program cycle. So project implementation, behavior change campaigns, dashboards, before-after studies, and outreach, those all occur year-round. Other data elements occur at a specified cadence, like weekly crash reviews, quarterly critical crash, interdisciplinary reviews, annual action spots analysis, and HIN updates every 3 years. We'll also continue to publish our annual Vision Zero progress report each spring. So we've been doing that over the past 5 years, and we'll publish the annual crash report in the fall in a new and improved format starting this year. So we have that to look forward to coming up soon. And we'll also be coordinating with the ambassadors / the external stakeholder group on a monthly basis and continue to host an annual Vision Zero community meeting. We are going to replace the annual safety engagement with a high injury network focused engagement to collect feedback specific to the corridors that will be audited within the next year. And that feedback will inform the audit and help staff better understand the user experience on those high injury network corridors. And then we're also recommending revisiting the safety action plan or whatever it looks like in 2030 and beyond on a 5-year cadence. So that's kind of the path forward in terms of reporting. So yeah, with your blessing, our next steps would include a request to advertise the plan at the July board meeting, and then hopefully looking to adopt the plan at the September board meeting. So thank you again for your time and your insights throughout this entire process. We have really valued all the feedback and the engagements, and we look forward to hearing your feedback now.
Thank you. Any commissioners have questions or comments? Commissioner Theo.
Yes, Ms. Baker, Mr. Nabor, that's a great presentation. Thank you very much for your hard work on Vision Zero. Question for you is, I know the Master Transportation Plan update is still ongoing. Are there any changes to the Vision Zero plan that you could foresee because of things going on with the Master Transportation Plan? Meaning, is there anything that is on the horizon with the MTP update that could cause or force some sort of revision or update or improvement to the Vision Zero plan in the future?
That's a great question. So I've been working with Kristen hand in hand throughout this whole process. She's been reviewing our things, we've been reviewing hers, and there have been discussions on, like, if something comes up specifically, it's like, which plan do we put that in? And in some cases it's hers, in the master plan. In some cases it's the Vision Zero plan, and in some cases it's both, where we kind of give, you know, what's the immediate thing over the next 5 years that we need to touch on versus what's that big picture element. So we're really trying to look at it as like the on the ground immediate versus the long-term planning. And I think that they have aligned really well. And in some cases we touch on the same things. So I don't think we would foresee any revisions based on her plan, just because we've coordinated so much up to this point. But the intention was for them to kind of align together and identify similar kind of paths forward, just on different timelines.
That's good news. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Furman.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you both for the presentation and just to compliment the work I continue to see, you know, within my own immediate neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods that I'm regularly traveling into, the impacts and the positives that we're seeing with some of the interventions that Vision Zero has introduced. Especially a very, very big fan of some of the speed humps that we've introduced in the school zones. That's made a marked difference in terms of what I've seen, especially by Wakefield High School on Dinwiddie. So really appreciative of the work that you all continue to do, and opportunities to find more ways to get us to this goal that we have long term. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you for your support.
Anyone else? Commissioner Flores.
I just wanted to echo what my fellow commissioners have said. I think this is one of many amazing things about Arlington County, but this is one project in particular where you can see actual metrics to lives that have been saved here. And so thank you for all that you're doing and trying to you know, integrate some safety practices that will carry on for generations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Commissioner Wayne, tell me. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. There is one thing that's new, which isn't covered here, and there's no reason why it would have been, because it's really just come up fairly recently, and it's really in a lot of ways outside of Arlington's control. It's the continued proliferation of these really tall vehicles, especially the later models of pickup trucks, which, I don't know if you've seen, there's been recent articles on this, how if a car hits somebody, it's usually survivable even though you're injured, because you get on top of the hood and roll off, whereas because it hits you in your legs. But the big pickup trucks and massive SUVs, they hit you on your torso, and they push you under, and they're usually not survivable if there's any speed. The best we can do is continue to lower speed limits and design roads that are naturally slow traffic. And I think one of the best examples is Wilson Boulevard going up from Roslyn. It was redesigned in ways that go slow. You just don't want to go fast there because the lanes are narrowed, the parking is right there, the bike lane is completely separated. It's really very effective because of the design. In recognition of this unfortunate trend in car design, vehicle design, if we can keep that in mind and think about that in the future revisions, how do we address this in a better way? Again, I'm not saying go back and redo things because this is something that's really pretty recent, but keep that in mind going forward. Otherwise, this is a great effort. Thank you for the work you've done on this. This is a very, very important initiative. Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Lane. Tell me, it's a beachy and windy part of Arlington you're in. What I would like to reiterate and what the other commissioners have hit on as well is kind of the importance of engineering and design. And I know the community feedback, a lot of the feedback focused on improving behavior, but when due to regulatory changes like with these vehicles with tax breaks, vehicles being over 6,000 pounds, sometimes education won't be enough. And what's proven time and time again, what improves safety the most is safe road design, because a lot of people know what they should be doing, but they're not doing it anyway. And we're all guilty of that in our own lives. So I think what Vice Chair Furman has mentioned, the little interventions, the tactical interventions, we love seeing those and love to know that they're increasing because they're common sense, they're data driven, they've been proven in so many other localities, and the solutions for many of these problems aren't going to be technology or individual responsibility. It's just good road design. So thank you. I don't know if Commissioner Lantelmi has something new to add or if the hand is up from before. No, all right, you got it down. Okay. Doesn't look like anybody else has their hand up. So so I move that we vote on this recommendation to advertise, which reads as recommend to approve a request to advertise the presentation of a 5-year Vision Zero Action Plan Update 2026 to 2030, identifying a path toward eliminating all transportation-related fatalities and severe injuries while ensuring safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for all. Can I get a second for that?
Seconded.
All right. Commissioner Flores.
Yay. Aye. What is it?
Whichever one you prefer.
Every
Vice
year.
Chair Furman.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussain. Is Commissioner Hussain with us?
He sent an email. He was running late. He might.
Yeah, he said it was running late, but he should have been here. That's okay. We're going on without him. Commissioner Lantelmi.
Aye.
Commissioner Locker. Is Commissioner Locker here? Don't see her either. Commissioner Ludlow.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Theo.
Aye.
Commissioner Trayer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vanderpool.
Aye.
Okay. It's a unanimous vote of 8 in favor. Thank you very much, Mr. Neighbors and Ms. Baker. Always a pleasure seeing you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone.
All right, and on to the next item, the neighborhood complete streets.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Michelle Stafford. I am the program coordinator with the Neighborhood Complete Streets program. I'm joined tonight by Kathy Lewis, who's the chair of the Neighborhood Complete Streets Commission. I'll hand it over to Kathy and then we'll move on with the presentation.
Hi, all. Just wanted to say a bit about Neighborhood Complete Streets. We really want a member of the Transportation Commission to join us. We are owed a member from you, and we would like you to join our cause into trying to make neighborhood streets safer and accessible for everyone. So just that's all I've got for you.
Thank you for that reminder. We got a couple new commissioners. Maybe they will step up.
We're a
No
fun
pressure,
group.
though.
Yeah.
And we should add that we don't meet as frequently as Transportation Commission.
No.
So it's typically about 5 meetings a year. And then we do recruit to help with our engagement, but it's optional. So anybody who's interested in like doing community engagement with us, this is a great opportunity. However, as formal meetings go, it's only about 5 times a year. So, and you get to make choices about how CIP money's spent.
Yes.
So this year, this is our sixth time funding capital projects through this program. We're actually on to projects up to number 21 now. So we're starting to amass a little bit of pride in the portfolio. This year, we're looking at 4 new projects, 2 in Arlington East Falls Church, 1 in Boston, Virginia Square, and 1 in Green Valley. The first is, and I suspect several of these will be quite well known to the group, where there is missing sidewalk in the Arlington East Falls Church neighborhood. The first section being on North Van Buren. These are very, very well supported projects by the community. They both connect to Benjamin Banneker Park. They're not super complicated because we have right of way, and it really is a matter of completing the missing link of sidewalk, in this case, across adjacent to 5 single family properties. So it's a very simple project scheme. We're looking to just complete the existing sidewalk network with an additional crossing across Van Buren, connecting into the entrance of Benjamin Banneker Park. The second is another small section of missing sidewalk right by another entrance into Benjamin Banneker Park. And this one is both actually are very heavily traveled bike corridors connecting the WNOD trail through the neighborhood. So there's a lot of use and some conflict. So we hope that by completing the pedestrian facilities, it'll be actually beneficial to all modes of travel in these locations. In this case, we will be completing the sidewalk adjacent to 2 single-family homes and connecting directly into the park entrance in the location shown in the photos. It's a little tricky, so we're trying something a little different where we will be using both tactile directional indicators to indicate to a vision impaired that they need to curve to stay on the pedestrian path, as well as the truncated domes where there's an intersection either with the road or between the sidewalk and the trail. I'm pretty excited about this treatment. Here we have just a little explanation on the difference of the 2 different types of materials that we'll be using at the connection to the road and from the trail to the sidewalk. And the reason this is necessary is because as the pedestrian, I'll go back a slide, goes from the trail to the street, there isn't a receiving sidewalk or curb ramp for a person to safely travel. So we want to make sure they realize that they are entering into a conflict zone. These are pretty commonly used materials in Asia. Most of the case studies, the precedent images I found were in Japan or Korea, but we're very excited to be using them. Our third project that we're looking at is a sidewalk improvement project for a section of 13th Street North. But basically, it's a connecting piece between where the YMCA is located and where the Washington Liberty High School are. So there is existing sidewalk. It has is either not fully contiguous or in addition to the fact that there are obstructions in the middle of the sidewalk on both sides of the street where there is sidewalk. So we're looking at, this is a tiny, I realize this is hard to read, but I can happily send this presentation out again, or you can refer to the project page if you want to zoom in on any elements of it. But we're looking at replacing the sidewalk with a 6-foot wide sidewalk between Lincoln and Quincy. And I should have said this is also a walking path to Quincy Park, to the Central Library. It is a fairly central route, and it is a great neighborhood connector. So the design does account for the fact that we have an irrational easement or right-of-way line on the street. We would have liked to have done more, but we are missing many parcels of property or easement on the north side. So we chose to focus on the south side of the street where we're proposing to remove the street lights that are blocking the sidewalk, replace them most likely, this is preliminary design after all, with LED Cobra lights adding to the existing utility poles on the north side of the street, constructing the 6-foot sidewalk, but it will have to, in our worst case scenario, which is what we're presenting, we will have to bump out around 2 properties close to Quincy Street where we do not have easements. As part of this project, if we do move into a detailed design phase, we will pursue trying to get those easements to attempt to have a straighter sidewalk line. But we wanted to have a design that was risk-proof in the event that we weren't able to obtain those easements. We didn't want to design that one holdout could bring the whole project down. So, but we'll try, in good faith, to try and get the easements necessary, because there is a modest reduction in on-street parking necessary to complete this sidewalk project. We're looking at, based on the estimates, about 6 on-street parking spaces removed here and 2 near the corner. So it is a modest reduction. However, as I've said, throughout this whole process, we will try our best to obtain those easements so that we can reduce the parking reduction. Oh, this shows it a lot better. And then moving on to a small project on Shirlington Road, where we similarly have a sidewalk situation where there are obstructions in the existing sidewalk. Because those obstructions continue on for many blocks, what we focused on was one accessible route from South Glebe Road to 22nd Street, so that a person walking can access the complete sidewalk network on 22nd Street South that would take you to Drew Elementary School and to John Robinson Jr. Town Square. It is not a perfect solution, but it is a fairly direct walk. It's the same facilities, just sort of the other side of Robinson Square. And so we're focusing on just a gentle touch here to curve this sidewalk around the existing utility poles to create a contiguous, accessible path the neck downs may also, we hope, help with some speed reduction as cars are coming off of Glebe Road. This is sort of a transition block. It would be great if we see some calming through this natural narrowing. So we have completed our concept development engagement period. The Neighborhood Complete Streets Commission had its funding hearing in June, where they unanimously voted to recommend all 4 of these projects for funding. The next step for us is going to the county board on the July agenda, and only the board actions our projects into detailed design phase and implementation. So today we are asking for support as on our journey to the county board this month. Are there any questions? I can always go back to any of the projects.
Thank you, commissioners. We have Vice Chair Furman.
Yeah, I wanted to start off first by thanking you and commending all 4 of the actions that are being recommended. I think all of them are worthy of consideration and moving forward. On North Tuckahoe Street from 18th to 19th in particular, I'm also very excited about that project. As a very frequent rider on that particular segment going towards East Falls Church and right by the metro station there, that's always struck me as surprising at how we go from, we're on a path, and in this case, oftentimes for miles before that, and then you're dumped out on a residential street, and then a couple blocks later, you're back on a path. But during that in-between time, it is a road that is ill-equipped for the traffic that it sees on a regular basis, being so close to the metro, carrying so much trail traffic, and also accommodating the people who live there and the cars that are on that street. So really excited to see that project moving forward. And I'd love to see some additional improvements on that street in the future, especially in terms of right now, as you continue down North Tuckahoe Street on the slide we're looking at here, moving from your right to your left, you end up encountering a stop sign, but then the cross traffic does not stop there. So it's a little bit of a trickier spot, given that that's the main way that people are going between the 2 different sides of the path. Love to either see that turn into an all-way yield or a 4-way stop or something at some point in the future. But right now, 19th Street North has no way to stop while you do on Tuckahoe. Either way, this particular project, the scope of what we're talking about, this is an excellent project, and I just wanted to commend all the work that's been done for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I have good news in that intersection is scheduled for modifications as part of the Sycamore Street capital project. The bad news is I don't believe it includes an all. In fact, I know it doesn't include an always stop because I asked if we could consider it and was told it had already been studied. However, we know, we'll have to see how things go in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But there is work.
My enthusiasm for this project in particular, but yeah, I appreciate the update on that, and yeah, disappointing news, but can try again in the future.
Yeah, I think so. Plus, let's see how the intersection improvements may help, at least with visibility and in the crossing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wayne, tell me.
Yes, yeah, thank you for your work on this. First up, I want to add my voice to Vice Chair Furman's comments about Tuckahoe Street. I've written that for years, and all of his observations are absolutely correct. So anything we can do to help make this better for all users is the right way to go. Adding on the other thing I'm looking at for both Tuckahoe and Van Buren, have we considered actually narrowing those streets in making the sidewalks or widening the sidewalks, taking it out of the actual street itself? They're both really wider than they need to be, which of course encourages cars to be moving faster than they need to go in these very short neighborhood streets. And I have the same issue with up in Virginia Square on 13th Street. I drive along on that numerous times. The bump out, I think, is actually not a bug, but rather a feature. It will help actually yeah, that's a wide street. That's a crazy wide street for a neighborhood like that. If you're widening the sidewalks, I would say take it out of the street itself and leave parking on both sides. That will naturally slow people driving along there. So again, I have no problem with that bump out. In fact, I would allow parking along the bump out because that would be a natural choke point that would slow traffic. And there's a school, just houses away from there. That's all to the good. This is one of the things that sort of does drive me a bit crazy is that we have so many of our residential streets that are way wider than they need to be, especially in the parts of the county that were developed after World War II. There really, and I understand there's the fire code issues, which is something we really need to be negotiating better with the fire department about the width of our streets. It's safer to have a narrower street with slower traffic than one that would save 10 seconds for a fire truck going through. So anyway, that's my comment both on the 13th Street in Virginia Square and in East Falls Church. As far as the one down in Green Valley, that's great. You have a couple of bump outs there. That's the whole point. You're going to be ending up slowing traffic along there. Especially, I think there's a hill there too, which is all to the better. So anyway, yeah, I'll support these definitely, but I really think we need to be thinking about why do we have these? Can we narrow streets wherever we can? Thank you.
We
Thank
did
you.
take a run at that, I will say. We did have sent the previous chair did send letters and have discussion with the county manager about that, and alas, we were unsuccessful, but things change.
Is that still the fire department issue?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, that's just crazy. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. And the fire department definitely deserves to be taken seriously, but a lot of this is just a reaction without data and without thinking the entire thing through with unintended consequences. So anyway, all the bump ups you put in there, go for it. I have no problem with having those there. The more the better. If we can't narrow the whole street.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Lantelmi. Commissioner Vanderpool, please.
Yes, I am really excited to see all these updates and changes, and I agree with both the other commissioners on pretty much everything. The area in Falls Church, I actually don't go that route when I bike. I go through a different part of the neighborhood, so I do not have to cross at that really busy intersection right by the East Falls Church Metro. But I understand that's kind of out of the scope of this practice. I agree, putting bump outs is a great way to slow traffic. And this is also maybe outside of the scope of this particular vote, but I find that having cars parked on the street actually makes it less safe, even though it does narrow it. I live on a street that has parking on both sides and only kind of one flow of traffic can get by at one time. And just crossing the street to get to the bus is really hard sometimes because there are so many cars parked. Kids can't see around them. So it makes it really tricky for people that are vertically challenged to see what's oncoming. So the bump outs seem like a much better idea. Plus, if there's any kind of intersection area, the further away cars are parked from that intersection, the easier it is for both cyclists and pedestrians to safely cross.
The idea too is once we provide the sidewalk, we take the pedestrian out of the street, I hope. That's the concept, certainly, especially for children. So hopefully this will create crossing at the intersection where it's striped and parking is pulled back from it. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you. I'd like for you to, maybe explain the methodology for selecting these projects, because I see you have a ranking system, and I think it'd be useful to the broader audience, because the conspiracy theorists might say, well, there's 3 North Arlington projects and only 1 South. So, you have your process, and I'd like to hear more about it.
I love to talk about it because I think it's highly defensible. So thank you. Yeah, we do. First of all, anything that comes through us is not randomly selected by staff. Any project starts out as a member of the public submitting an application. It's an online form. It's very simple, telling us where the problem is. We then score each locate. First, we have to ascertain that it is on a neighborhood local street. We don't do any work on arterials. There's other programs for that. We eliminate some amount of applications in that regard, but basically anything that's on a local street then gets graded on a whole bunch of criteria. And the metrics and primary metrics include history of crashes, if the crashes have injuries, the severity of the injuries, and then the existing condition of the roadway. If you get a certain, so like, is there complete sidewalk? Is there accessible curb ramps? If at that point there's a certain minimum threshold of points, we then will collect data. So we look at the 85th percentile speeds, if there's a speeding problem, and then we look at the ADT. So there's points allotted for all along the way. Then if it meets a certain threshold to continue, which a lot of the nominated streets do, we then look at activity generators. So things like, is it near metro? Is it near transit stops, bus stops? Is it near bike trails? Is it connecting to, like, is it a bike designated on a bike map or connecting to a trail? And then we look at the GLUP designation. So the more dense the planning for it is by the GLUP designation, we get points. And then the final, oh, and I forgot to mention schools. Is it close to schools? Is it close to parks? Where we know we have a particular concentration of the more vulnerable road users. Then at the end, once we've gone through all of that, then we also look at if it's located in an equity emphasis area. Turn that all around, rank it, and then we have a prioritization for the projects that come to us. We are actively working, Kathy and I, to outreach more into neighborhoods we don't get applications from as much as others, to let people know in those equity emphasis areas that we are around and we'd like to hear what streets bother them, and we'd like them to join the commission too. So we're getting bold in our requests, but we do want to have greater representation in those parts of the county where we historically have, served less. But we try to keep, it is very much intended to be a data-driven, objective criteria that helps us to at least sort the list. At the end of the day, we look at the top 10 projects on the list, and some of them aren't buildable or the timing isn't right. There could be a capital project already in the works, or there could be a development application that's going to make changes. For example, on the 13th Street project, we know that YMCA has a site plan in. So we don't really want to tangle with work where the private sector will be providing new sidewalks there. So there's still a bit of a qualitative analysis. Is it buildable? But ultimately, we look at the list in the order that they are ranked.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Very. I don't see any other hands up, so if you could please pull up the slide with the recommendation. All right. So I move that we vote on the recommendation that reads as follows. That the Transportation Commission recommend that the Arlington County Board approves the request to advance the following capital projects through the Neighborhood Complete Streets Program. North Van Buren Street from 18th Street North to 19th Street North in Arlington East Falls Church neighborhood. North Tuckahoe Street from 18th Street North to 19th Street North in the Arlington East Falls Church neighborhood. 13th Street North from North Quincy Street to North Lincoln Street in the Boston, Virginia Square neighborhood, and Shirlington Road from South Glebe Road to 22nd Street South in the Green Valley neighborhood. Can I get a second for that?
Second.
All right. Can start voting with Commissioner Forrest,
Aye.
Vice Chair Furman,
Aye.
Commissioner Hussain,
Aye.
Commissioner Lantomi,
Aye.
Commissioner Locker. I'm not. Commissioner Ludlow.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Theo.
Aye.
Commissioner Traer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vanderpool.
Aye.
Thank you. It's a vote of 8, actually 9 in favor. Thank you for the presentation, and we look forward to seeing these improvements.
Thank you to all of you for your support for the program and these projects.
Thank you all.
And with that, we can move on to the next agenda item.
1401 Wilson Boulevard. Yeah.
Yep. The big item of the night. Not that the other ones are small, but this is the lengthy one.
So I'll turn it over to you, Rob Gibson.
Thank you. I'm seeing if it is presenting. It's showing up in the presenting. So let's see. Let me know when you see the presentation. Excellent. Oops, it is. Do you see it with the notes or as just the slide?
Just the slide.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, Transportation Commission members. I'm Robert Gibson with Arlington County DES Development Services. I'm presenting tonight the site plan amendment for 1401 Wilson Boulevard at 1401 Wilson Boulevard and 1400 Key Boulevard. This is a site plan amendment to a previously approved site plan. There are 2 actions before you this evening. One, the site plan amendment SPLA 260001 for the development of roughly 10 FAR, a little below 10 FAR at the site, which would include residential and ground floor retail, and then parking on a base level, and then a series of ordinances of vacations to vacate pretty small areas of both right-of-way and street and utilities easements. The site is identified in the general land use plan as high office apartment. It's within the Roslyn Coordinated Redevelopment Area, and it includes a public open space triangle on the general land use plan. This site, by the way, is shown in the center of the screen here with the 2 1960s office towers. It's bound by Key Boulevard on the north, North Nash Street on the east, Wilson Boulevard on the south, and North Oak Street on the west. The zoning for the site is CO Roslyn, and the existing conditions include 2 vacant 12-story office buildings that total about 365,000 square feet of office GFA and approximately 19,500 square feet of retail on its ground floor level along Oak Street. The current building includes 206 parking spaces, standard parking spaces, 365 tandem parking spaces, and an additional 10 surface parking spaces on the property. The developers and owners are proposing to, oops, let's back a slide if we can. Yep. Okay, we'll go with that. So the proposal is to amend the existing approved site plan from 2014, which generally had one office tower and one residential tower on a parking podium base that took up the entirety of the site. This is an amendment for that. It proposes to have two 27-story residential towers, providing a total of 831 residential units. You'll hear about these as the Wilson Tower and the Key Tower. Each tower is adjacent to the respective names of the roads that they're next to. There is a total of 28,900 square feet of retail proposed on the ground floor of these two towers. Most substantially in the Key Tower, there is approximately 17,000 square feet of consolidated retail, which is being designed to potentially support a large retailer or a grocer. The total proposed density is 9.94 FAR. There is public space in the form of the 18th Street corridor between the two towers. The project's parking is proposed at 602 parking spaces. That includes 547 residential parking spaces parked at a ratio of approximately 0.65. That includes residential visitor parking spaces to support the two towers. Additionally, there are 55 retail parking spaces to support the 29,000 square feet of retail in the project. There are overall 6 loading spaces proposed, and the project is proposed as LEED Gold. There are a number of zoning modifications, including additional density exclusions, increased compact ratio, and reduced residential loading spaces. For more detail about the project, it's important to note that this site, many of you probably have been in this area before, but there is a pretty extreme amount of topographic change as you go from the southwest corner of the site to the northeast corner of the site, with the site dropping approximately 36 feet across that diagonal. There is a 5-story parking garage podium on the project. The pedestrian access for the 2 residential towers includes Wilson Tower from Oak Street and from North Nash. The Key Tower residential access is focused at the corner of Key Boulevard and North Nash Street. And the 18th Street corridor provides through site access between North Oak Street and North Nash Street. There is generally a plaza area at the North Oak Street elevation that consists of about half of that space, and then there are stairs which allow that grade change that was discussed. In addition to the stairs, there is a public elevator which will be provided to ensure accessibility for all users. We discussed the parking earlier with a total of 602 spaces. The bicycle parking proposed for the project includes 192 parking spaces, bike parking spaces. Each of the towers supports their own at-grade access bike rooms with bicycle parking consistent with Arlington County standards for site plans. The bike room for the Wilson Tower is generally accessed off of North Nash Street, and the bike room for the Key Tower is accessed from Key Boulevard. The project includes 2 separate loading areas, 1 for each tower, providing a total of 6 loading spaces. The 2 loading spaces in the Wilson Tower generally support smaller vehicles, whereas in the Key Tower, it includes 2 bays for 50-foot and larger trucks and 2 berths for smaller vehicles. The loading dock on the Key Tower has been designed so that the smaller vehicles can head into the loading area and then back into the loading berths inside of the building and then head back out, where the larger trucks would need to maneuver backing into the site. And did I miss anything? Oh, the large 17,000 square foot ground floor retail space in the Key Tower is accessed generally from the 18th Street corridor at the Oak Street elevation here in this image. The project proposes to improve the streetscapes around the entirety of the project. The streetscape proposed for Wilson Boulevard will provide nearly a 21-foot wide streetscape, including 6-foot tree planting area, a 12-foot clear sidewalk, and additional shy and buffer areas of about 2 feet. Along Wilson Boulevard, the road will be reconfigured, removing one of the travel lanes that is currently just a right turn lane only lane. That will be removed in lieu of a new protected buffered bike lane, which will help link to the pretty nice facilities to the west of the site along Wilson Boulevard, going west. There is overall 2 travel lanes will be provided through the intersection, and as there's striping today on the adjacent to the median, some striping will continue and maintained within the right of way. This streetscape is consistent with the it actually exceeds the recommendations of the Roslyn Sector Plan. Now moving to North Oak Street, the project will provide an 18-foot, 8-inch streetscape, including 8-foot wide clear sidewalks, 7-foot wide tree planting, and a 4-foot shy building buffer zone that can support cafe uses and other activities along the edge of the building. The street generally provides parking on both sides of the street and a travel lane in each direction. The overall width of the street changes between the section closest to Wilson and the section closest to Key Boulevard. With a little bit of additional width in the section closest to Key Boulevard, we were able to provide an on-street bike lane southbound from Key Boulevard to 18th Street. And then along Key Boulevard, the project proposes a 12-foot, an 18-foot, 8-inch streetscape, including a 12-foot wide sidewalk, 6-foot planting area, and then within the street area, the eastbound bike lane is proposed to be converted to a protected buffered bike lane, protected by both buffer and on-street parking, and then there is an on-street. The existing on-street bike lane going westbound would be maintained. As Key Boulevard approaches North Nash Street, the street is going to be reconfigured, and the operations at North Nash Street are proposed to be converted from a stop sign only on Key Boulevard to an all-way stop at the intersection, with room potentially in the future if signalization is needed, but we think the all-way stop will improve operations of both Key Boulevard and North Nash Street, while also ensuring that the bike lanes are connected through the intersection. Now to North Nash Street. North Nash Street is proposing generally a 16-foot wide streetscape with on-street buffered bike lanes along the project side of the street, and then on the east side of the street, new buffered bike lanes are also being proposed, along with on-street parking on the northbound side. As we've been looking at this project and we've been hearing some of the community concerns and looking at some of the operations, with the backing of large trucks across North Nash Street and some of the limitations in the protection that could otherwise be provided along North Nash Street, staff and the applicant have been working together kind of furiously over the past week or so to improve the overall condition of the bike facilities adjacent to the key tower. And that improvement will include a sidewalk grade bike facility for that area. And what this will allow is better visibility of cyclists as they go through the loading entry area. It will also allow us to better protect cyclists with a raised buffer along this area. This area will be mountable by large vehicles, but it allows us to ensure separation from vehicles for cyclists, and it also improves our ability to keep vehicles from entering into the bike lane and stopping and blocking this bike lane. So if you were following along in SPRC, this is a rather new change to the project. One of the primary marquee elements of the project is the 18th Street corridor. The 18th Street corridor is identified on the Master Transportation Plan as a pedestrian priority street. This connection will go from North Oak Street across and down to the Roslyn Metro, going across multiple sites, including the Ames Center to the east, which has already been approved. And so if you looked at these plans early on and are seeing something different, it is because the 18th Street corridor has substantially changed. It was very open and sort of maybe a little too open in the initial presentation, and through staff work, the applicants' work, and community feedback, the 18th Street corridor is much more biophilic with new planting areas and much more of an environmental focus to it. It creates much better engagement and areas for people to gather and stay while enjoying this key transportation connectivity and corridor. It also is the front door to the large retail bay, which hopefully will support a grocer in the future. There is a second smaller open space at the corner of Nash and Wilson Boulevard, which is overall, I think, a nice improvement from what was previously approved with the 2014 site plan. Other elements of the project include a green building of LEED Gold, as we discussed before. There will be affordable housing, which includes a base affordable housing contribution or on-site provision of housing, and then an additional $6 million contribution to AHIF. Additionally, there is a $2 million off-site public open space contribution to support public open space throughout Roslyn, but principally the Roslyn Gateway improvements planned. The project includes the construction of the 18th Street corridor and the maintenance of that corridor and its public elevator. From an infrastructure perspective, there is a $2 million contribution for offsite transportation improvements in Roslyn. As you all know, there is a pretty significant amount of planned improvements in the area that still need to get funded and built. It includes a construction of a new public water main in North Nash Street and the removal of the existing skywalk. The second element of the package is a series of right-of-way and easement vacations. These are generally shown in this highlighted image. The red area shows the vacations of public right-of-way. The yellow are vacations of street and utility easements. These vacations are all consistent with the master transportation goals and approach, and additional new public sidewalk easements and public sidewalk and utility easements will be provided as part of the project, consistent with our policies and practice. This project has gone through a very warm and quick SPRC and public process. It started out with a site plan application in January 2026, and then went through online engagement, 2 SPRC meetings, and with this meeting being pushed back a little bit, we've completed most of the other commission hearings, including the Planning Commission, which unanimously voted to support the project, and then the project will go to the July 18th County Board hearing. Staff supports the proposed project and recommends to the Transportation Commission to recommend make the following recommendations to the County Board. One, the Transportation Commission recommends to the County Board to adopt the site plan. I'll leave all of the details for your motion potentially. And 2, the Transportation Commission finds that the proposed vacations listed here are substantially in accord with the master transportation plan. With that, thank you for your time, and I will hand it over to the applicant to show you much nicer pictures.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gibson. And I don't know, Rob, if you want to share the screen. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to share my screen if I could.
Yes,
but I
I
don't
will
have the
stop
rights.
presenting.
Okay.
I
don't think I have the ability to share my screen yet. So I don't know if staff or someone can
Let me work that out for you just a second.
All right, thanks so much. And I'm going to try to be quick because Mr. Gibson did a pretty good job.
I need to find you on the list. Oh, you're by your last name. That's what it is. Okay. You should have, wait, not yet. Hang on.
All right. See
Right
right
now.
there. Thank you very much. Make sure that I can share my screen. All right. Well, hopefully everyone can see that. And it should be full screen now. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Andrew Painter. I am an attorney with the law firm of Walsh Colucci. Speaking tonight on behalf of the applicant, Monday Properties. I'm joined by Mike Pinkoski and Nick Richardson with VICA. They are our civil engineer and transportation consultant on this application. We are actually running kind of double duty. We have representatives of Monday Properties downstairs in the Housing Commission meeting, which is ongoing right now, as we are double booked this evening. As staff mentioned, what's old is new again. This is a 2.1 acre site that's located in the western part of central Roslyn. 2 office buildings that were constructed in the 1960s that have been 100% vacant for the last 2 years. a little over 365,000 square feet of development between the two of them. One thing to note is a substantial topographic drop of 40 feet between the southwestern corner of the site where my cursor is, if you can see my cursor, and the northeastern corner of the site, which is where Key Boulevard and North Nash Street is. And so a lot of the ways that we've responded to the site, handled the new monumental stairs and the 18th Street corridor have been really driven by the topographic change that occurs on the property. Not going to spend too much time on this as far as the zoning, GLUP, and sector plan, as Mr. Gibson had already covered it. Suffice to say that we have used this as the recipe for the proposal that's before you this evening. Back in 2014, Monday received approvals to redevelop the site, as Mr. Gibson said, with an office tower and a residential tower anchored by a grocery store. These are images from that approval. And unfortunately, market conditions at the time prevented Monday from securing financing to move forward. But construction of the project was also hampered by the decline in office demand and the market realities in a post-pandemic environment. And so Monday spent several years of careful evaluation and landed on the proposal that is before you this evening that it believes finally realizes the longstanding vision of the Roslyn Sector Plan for this property, specifically, as Mr. Gibson mentioned, delivering the western bookend of the planned 18th Street corridor, while at the same time delivering new housing supply and doing everything we possibly can to deliver a national credit grocery store on the site. And so what is before you essentially carries forward a lot of the same bones as was the case back in 2014. High quality public realm, urban amenities. It retains the twin tower, two tower concept, but the tower that's in the foreground, the white tower, that is the Wilson Tower. That used to be the 24-story office building. That is now proposed as a 27-story multifamily residential building. The tower that's in the background, the Key Tower, which is at the corner of Nash and Key Boulevard, that is retained as a residential tower. And so between the two of them, there will be 831 residential units. That's up from 274 units, which was proposed back in 2014. There is a little over 12,000 square feet of ground floor retail in the Wilson Tower, the one that's in the foreground. And then in the Key Tower, we have the grocery store. Back in 2014, the grocery store fronted on Key Boulevard. The retail loading entrance is on Key Boulevard. The main building entrance for the grocer was on Key Boulevard. And after a lot of discussion with our broker, it was determined that it needed to be visible from Wilson Boulevard and really should be at a much more lively environment. And so we have moved it up to the 18th Street corridor, where it can be at the confluence of the Key residential or Key pedestrian and vehicular crossroads at Oak Street and the 18th Street corridor. And so that's what is shown here. Vehicular parking, 602 parking spaces parked at a rate of 0.66 spaces per unit, bicycle parking, and then additional retail spaces also particularly for the grocer. This is a broadened out image, and you can see the low slung white buildings. That is actually meant to indicate the now cleared Ames Center site. And you can see the church in the background there at Fort Myer and North Nash Street. But just wanted to sort of zoom out and show the project's location with respect to what is around it. This is a view from the northwest, looking towards the southeast, and you can see the Key and Nash apartments, which are the lower slung red brick buildings in the foreground. You can see the relocated grocery store box, which has been moved up to the 18th Street corridor, really trying to work on giving that its own separate identity. And then the sector plan calls for a reduction in density, what's called a sensitive edge transition where the grocer is located, which is why there is not a tower, plinth or a tower in that location. And that's really to give additional light and air as you look towards the northwest, towards the Colonial Terrace neighborhood. This is a zoomed in version at the intersection of North Nash and Wilson Boulevard. This highlights where the people are standing in the foreground at the intersection, getting rid of the right-hand slip lane. And then one of the corollary benefits of moving from an office building to a residential building for the Wilson Tower has been to recapture a lot of the space in front of that. So where it says bistro, for example, that was all an arcade and a below canopy arcade. And so what we've done is been able to skinny up the building by moving to the residential product and recapturing that space along North Nash Street for the public. One of the unique things, and my hat's off to both the architect, but especially our landscape architect, has been how people experience the grade differential on the site, that 40-foot topographic drop, and navigating it, providing ADA accessible sidewalks in and around and through the site for people of all abilities. And so that is one of the benefits of moving to this product. This is looking from the intersection of Oak Street and Key Boulevard, looking southeast. And again, what we've tried to do is give that market hall where the grocer is its own unique sense of identity. At the ground level along Key Boulevard, there is a generous bike room for the project. There will be a bike room in each of the buildings. This is the one that is along Key Boulevard. And then one of the other moves that we did was, and this is one of the comments that we've heard from the neighbors directly across the street, and you can see it on a daily basis, is there's a lot of traffic backing up, particularly in the morning hours, to the stop sign at Key Boulevard and North Nash. And so by moving the grocery store with its front entrance along the 18th Street corridor, we have also moved the grocer retail parking to North Oak Street. And you can see that on the right-hand side of the screen. This is looking from the confluence of Wilson Boulevard, Clarendon Boulevard, and North Oak Street, kind of right where the mini Target is. And then you can see the public art that is in the median of Wilson and Clarendon. But this is looking straight down North Oak Street. And the key thing that I want to highlight here is that this really does serve as a northern bookend to that entire intersection. So when it is completed, the Roslyn sector plan calls for North Oak Street to be a strong retail street with retail on both sides. And you can see the grocery store where it has the M and the H, the market hall, in the background, which again provides visibility for that grocery store directly from Wilson Boulevard, but will anchor the northern end of that strong retail corridor street. And then when you come back into that central area of Wilson, Clarendon, and North Oak Street, it produces a zone that is very pedestrian friendly, lively, and active, with all the different blocks that feed into that large intersection. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to recognize Mike Minkowski, and Mike, I will advance the slide as you wish.
Yeah, hello everybody. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. A lot of great stuff said already. I'll try not to be too redundant, as Andrew and Rob have both done great so far. So here's just a aerial image of the existing site. The blue arrows represent existing garage entrances. The yellow is a surface lawn on Oak Street, and then there's a single loading today. Flip to the next one. So I'm going to go around clockwise here, starting in the upper left, and just highlight some of the improvements around the site, because there's quite a few of them. So starting at 1 at the intersection of North Oak and Wilson Boulevard, there'll be a new pedestrian and signal infrastructure in our quadrant, and the receiving pedestrian ramps and signal poles in the quadrants crossing the street. As we go around the page, you'll see a series of stars. Those are all the bike racks for visitors, and you can see they're spread out strategically around the site near many of the entrances to the buildings. At note number 2, go back to the other slide, please. Sorry. At 2, we're at the 18th Street North and North Oak intersection. That intersection will be converted from just stop control on 18th Street to an always stop at the North Oak Street approaches as well, which are uncontrolled today. 3 just highlights the improvements to the streetscape that are being made along the frontage of North Oak Street. Rounding the corner to Key Boulevard. Key Boulevard will also have an improved streetscape and restriped roadway. The bike lane that is there today is going to be flipped and inboard of the parking, creating a protected bike condition along that roadway. Coming down to Bullet 5, Again, as Rob mentioned earlier, this intersection today, only the Key Boulevard approach is stop controlled. This intersection will be converted to an always stop intersection as well. Again, many improvements happening along Nash Street today. It's a two-lane road with some parking on it, so it feels very wide. In the future, with the protected bike lanes that are proposed, as well as the restriping and on-street parking, the road is going to feel, it should slow down the street quite a bit and feel a lot tighter for drivers, making it more safe for pedestrians. And then as we round the corner coming back over to Wilson Boulevard at Nash Street, again, at this intersection, we'll have some pedestrian and signal improvements for our quadrant and the adjacent receiving sides. And then finally on Wilson Boulevard, we will be removing the right turn lane, as Rob mentioned, in lieu of a protected bike lane. So the next series of slides really, Rob touched on these in pretty good detail, so I won't belabor the point, but this section here is the North Oak section between Wilson and 18th Street. And along this frontage, you can see that we're proposing PUDO parking along this frontage. It's approximately 150 feet or 7 spaces. So normally when we do PUDO on a project, pickup drop off, short term, you may get 1 or 2 spaces, and there's a lot of competition for those spaces. So the abundance that we're able to provide here should go a long way in preventing the double parking that we see quite a bit in urban areas. The next one is just the northern section of Oak. Rob hit on this. We will be providing a bike lane in the southbound direction and a Sharrow in the north. And then we'll swing around to Key Boulevard, which we also talked about. That'll have again, there'll be PUDO on this block. There's about 5 spaces available for PUDO, and that'll serve the Key Tower. And then this is the Nash Street frontages, and Rob had mentioned this. We actually don't have the updated slide in this presentation, but we are going to have a raised bike lane along the loading section here, which will create a much safer condition for cyclists and restrict short-term parking along the frontage. This is the southern section of Nash Street. We will be removing the slip lane, the slip right turn lane, so the section will become a lot, it'll be a 3-lane section, but we won't have that big island that exists today. This will create a shorter cross section for pedestrians and as well as the protected bike lane that'll be there in the future in the north and southbound direction. And then finally, Wilson, you can see the protected bike lane and the plan view on the top of the page in the section on the bottom. The tabs have been going summarized a couple times. The next slide. I will point out that we will go with 5% EV on the first day, which is a total of 30 spaces, and we'll have an additional 20% EV ready for a total of 120 spaces in the future based on demand. And there'll be a total of 16 accessible parking spaces. I think everything else was pretty well covered. So we have a couple of slides about just some of the details of the parking arrangement. So this slide shows, really it's focused on the loading dock. As mentioned previously, the dock will be able to accommodate 2 vehicles over 50-foot tractor trailers. It'll have a roll-off compactor to serve the grocer. And then on the right side, there'll be 2 single unit loading bays, and those vehicles, single unit, will be able to pull head in and head out of the dock. This slide is just identifying the residential visitor parking space in red, and then the bike lane or the bike room for the Key Tower in yellow, and the blue arrow represents direct access from the street to that bike room. In yellow, highlighted here is the bike room for the Wilson Tower, and the green arrow shows the direct access from the Nash Street frontage into that bike room. The red highlighted boundary is the retail grocer parking. The star within that boundary identifies the location of two retail visitor bike parking spaces that are large enough to accommodate the cargo bikes. And then the blue square is just showing the location of the Wilson Tower loading. It'll have two docks that can accommodate single unit trucks and a trash room. The next series of slides, we don't have to talk too much about these. This slide that's up here shows the garbage and single unit vehicles turning in and out of the loading bays for the Wilson Tower. This slide shows the key tower and the access of the single unit vehicles. You can see all the maneuvers in and out can be accommodated, head in, head out into the berths coming north and south on Nash Street. This slide shows the compact truck, or the compactor, the trash compactor truck that will be bringing the trash for the grocer in and out. And that'll have to be head in or back in maneuver. And we can go to the next one. This one starts to show, so depending on the user will depend on the actual size of the tractor trailer needed for the site. So we tested a variety of sizes from a WB50 all the way up to the largest, WB67. So on this slide and the next slide show a series of turning movements where the tractor trailers can be accommodated within the street section. And then final slide, as typical with 4.1 applications, the study or the project is committed to a transportation demand management plan that will be implemented at the time of site plan when the buildings come online. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, this is Andrew Painter again. That concludes our presentation. I just do want to say one thing, and this entire project has been a really good partnership with DES staff and CPHD staff throughout the entirety of these proceedings. We appreciate Rob's help on this, guiding us through, but it's been a really a positive working relationship. So our entire team's here to answer any questions, and we appreciate your consideration.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Painter, and to all of the other presenters. Commissioners, do you have any questions? I don't see any hands being raised right now. Commissioner Sain, you go first.
There we go. There I am. Yeah, so sorry everyone, I was late to the meeting, but great presentation. I was on the SPRC for this project, so I just had a couple of thoughts just on the get-go and a couple of questions. Yeah, I think again, I just want to echo overall, this was a really enjoyable SPRC. I think the project is really great. Given like the topography, you guys have done a really good job of like developing the space, good housing, retail activation for Roslyn. So overall, the grocery store, great amenity, the 18th Street corridor is fantastic. And I think it's nice that the applicant is providing the money for off-site transportation improvements. And then the slip lane on North Nash Street being taken out is actually really exciting. I do not enjoy doing that like walk across that slip lane on my way to Roslyn Metro. So it's overall, I think this is a fantastic site. I did have two kind of clarifying / regular questions. The first is on the parking ratio. I think it was 0.65, and I'm always, happy to have a lower parking ratio for any project. And I saw on the board report something about the applicant like seeking future approval of a parking reduction to 0.05, and I read something about that, and I was wondering if maybe you could speak to that, or under what circumstances you could get to a point to have the parking ratio reduced to 0.5. So that's my first question. And then my second one was on the bike lanes, which very excited that the North Nash Street, that sidewalk grade bike facilities there. That's actually really exciting. I think on the North Oak Street and Key Boulevard, I'm wondering, and I maybe have missed this during our conversations during the SPRC, what the kind of logic was on having some protected bike lanes in some parts versus having other parts, I think, on Oak and Key without those kind of same protection. So I was wondering maybe if you could speak to that as well. Oh, Rob, I think you're on mute. Thanks.
There we go. Thank you. So to your first point, you should give a hand to your state reps and your governor as they have passed new legislation which allows multifamily within short distances of transit to be parked at no more than 0.5 spaces per unit. So what we've done with that condition and what you see in the staff report is the applicant is proposing 0.65 spaces, and they can administratively reduce it to 0.5. Consistent with our reduced parking policies, there's probably still a little bit more headroom that they could come back to reduce it further if market demand was so. But the state has basically made it so that we can't require more than 0.5 any further for certain types of residential within certain distances of metro, and you'll see that going forward. On the other question about the bike infrastructure throughout the area, so the MTP identified protected bike facilities on both Wilson Boulevard and North Nash Street, and on-street facilities on Key Boulevard, and no facilities on Oak. And so on Oak and Key, what the project has done is sort of maximize the benefit to cyclists where additional roadway space is available otherwise. So in this case, for Key Boulevard, it was identified that it would be better to protect the eastbound movement, so that is a protected buffered movement, with westbound cyclists maintaining the existing on-street bike lane. And then for North Oak Street, it's mainly just making sure that extra wide lanes are not provided, and we can provide additional connectivity and space for cyclists within the right-of-way.
Okay, understood. I think that answers. I guess. Sorry, and if the chair, if you might indulge me, but just a follow-up question on the first point with the 0.65 parking ratio to 0.5, and the administrative ability to get to that. What would that look like in practice? Like, would the number of parking spaces go down? Like, I'm just curious in terms of like when that happens, or if that happens in practice, what does that look like to change from 0.65 to 0.5? Like, does there like extra? Yeah, I'm just curious to know how that works. Yeah.
So we have a lot of work to do after this project gets approved by the county board, going through to final design and then construction. And during that phase, there's a lot of administrative actions that occur, sometimes additional site plan amendments which require county board action. Typically, a parking reduction would require a county board action. This allows an administrative reduction. And likely what would happen is, and different sites have different ways to do this, and I can't speak specifically for this site, but typically in a project, they'd reduce the number of floors they dig down, reducing the overall parking supply provided, and that would be how the parking would get reduced. If this project was to go another route and change the ratio by adding residential units, we would have to likely consult the zoning administrator on whether or not that would be administrative or a site plan amendment. I suspect it would be a site plan amendment, but we would then recommend to the county board that at least from a parking perspective, it was in conformance with our adopted plans and policies.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. And I think that answers my question. And like I said before, this was a great SPRC, applicant, staff, everyone. This was really exciting. So thanks for letting me be a part of it. And that is all that I have. Thank you for indulging.
I'm just going to go ahead. It sounds like our chair is having some issues. So if that's okay, I'm going to jump in with my question. Thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciate it. This has been interesting. I'll echo the sentiments that were just expressed regarding parking. Would love to see that come down as much as possible. We're talking about like 2-3 minute walk to the metro, and I think minimizing parking as much as possible makes sense, especially from the perspective, even if you're not adding more units, cutting down on the construction costs and therefore the rent, the final rent would be great. My question is actually related to the grocery store. That might be a little bit beyond the Transportation Commission's purview, but I'll take some liberties here and say that it is tangentially related simply due to the proximity of other grocery stores and how far other areas or other residents in the area need to walk to get to a grocery store. Are y'all really confident that you can support another grocery store with a Target and a Safeway immediately adjacent to this site? Is there enough density to support 3 grocery stores all within a block of each other?
Yeah, and I'll let Tim Helmick with Monday talk about it, but I will say that we have gone out to ICSC, talked with our retail broker just about the market in Roslyn in particular. But grocery stores are different. They have different constituencies between Target versus Safeway versus other grocers, and so there is definitely a strong demand for another grocery store in Roslyn. And might even be 2 grocery stores in Roslyn. There is an increasing population, and what we have learned from our broker is that the county's policies, which seek to have 65% of the GFA in Roslyn become residential in the next 20 years, there is a growing demand for it. And that is one of the things that we have repeatedly heard from the 2 civic associations in Roslyn and the apartment and condominiums with whom we've met. But Tim?
Yeah, I'd say that the differentiator of what we're hoping to secure in our grocery opportunity is much more of a full service grocer. The Safeway is a limited service, more of a grab and go. And certainly the Target is a step below that with respect to food offerings. So as seen through the significant loading infrastructure that we've designed into the project, the type of offering that will be, allowed at this unit would be substantially greater than the others. So there is a strong differentiation between what this grocer would provide versus the other 2 that exist in Roslyn.
And just building on what Tim had said, I mean, this building has been purposely designed to attract a grocery store and to give Roslyn the best possible chance of getting that full service grocer. So there are millions of dollars in upgrades, from loading to refrigeration to high capacity receiving storage systems, premium HVAC, and more that we're programming here that you wouldn't have for a standard retail space.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
in addition, yep.
Go ahead. That's fine.
In addition, I think that the project has repositioned this grocer type element from a much larger format grocer while still being able to serve a full service grocer at 17,000 square feet.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob. That's right.
Well, I appreciate the clarification there. I hear you on there being different markets for different products and everything. And Commissioner Theo, I hear you on people not necessarily acknowledging target as a grocery store. But you hear the same arguments with the competition with putting in a full service grocery store in locations that are too close to dollar stores and things like that. So like, yes, that makes sense. I know this isn't the exact same thing, but the logic still applies where you grocers see that as enough competition to dissuade them. And I'm speaking from a bit of personal bias and concern that an additional grocer will eat up the potential market for one that would be in Courthouse, because there's this really weird gap between Clarendon and Roslyn, and it is like just far enough that both those you're equidistant from both locations, and they both feel like a much further walk. So that's really what's motivating my question, is that is this going to, and I'm not saying that y'all have a place to comment on this. It's probably even getting beyond what's even appropriate to be commenting on here. But essentially my logic in asking this is like, is this going to eat up the potential for a grocery store that would be better located for locations that don't currently have a great access to one? So I'm not asking you to answer that right now. It's more so just putting it out there as food for thought, pun not absolutely not intended. And that's essentially it. Feel free to comment. Otherwise, we can go along to the other commissioners who probably have more substantive questions.
Yeah, noted. I think the thing that we all need is more rooftops to justify more grocery stores. So let's get more housing supply.
You're not going to hear any arguments from me on that.
All right, next is Commissioner Vanderpool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed learning about all the updates that you guys are planning to put in. The 18th Street corridor looks gorgeous. I can see how that's going to be a real improvement to what's currently there. I was curious about the Key Boulevard cross section where you've got the parking lane right next to the sidewalk, and then the bike lane, and then the travel lanes. I'm curious why that bike lane isn't closest to the sidewalk, and why there isn't maybe even like some protection there. I know I'm curious why the bike lane isn't on the inside and why it's with the cars traveling, because that's definitely not a safer route of travel for people biking in that direction.
I think it gets back to just how much space we had available. In order to do the flipping of the bike lane to the inside of the parking lane, you need typically another 3 to 4 feet of cross-sectional space to provide the buffer for the door swings on parked cars.
Okay. Yeah, that's just a bummer, because it puts us at risk of getting doored, and it puts us at risk of, meshing in with the travel lane. But that's really my only comment, is that I'm a little bit disappointed to see that. It would be nice if there was just a little bit more protection on that side.
I'll echo this as well. Mr. Gibson, I don't know if you've heard this from us, but I feel like I've been beating this dead horse for the last 3 or 4 meetings, that I would really appreciate the county taking another look at how we are situating those bike lanes, because I'm not finding it persuasive that we need an additional 3 to 4 feet to flip those structures. I understand in theory how the door could be a problem, but it's a problem on the other side, but made worse by the fact that my option as a cyclist is to then move into a travel lane in order to avoid the door slam. I'd much rather have the problem of I have to come to a dead stop and maybe I'm stuck for a moment between a door, car, and a curb, versus I'm in an active travel lane avoiding the door opening. So I think that there's probably something underlying here where there's planning standard that is leading to that outcome. But I would just encourage us to look at that as a county, because to me, the equal space, I'd rather see those utilities, those modes of travel be reversed. So I'll echo the Commissioner Vanderpool's point on that as well. Not having a further question on that, I will throw things to Commissioner Lantelli.
Actually, if I could jump in on that now that I have audio back working, and it's because it's related to this. The cyclists will also be going uphill in this section, so the risk of getting doored is like is even further reduced given the low speed. It's a pretty steep hill and kind of difficult to bike up against. So that's another factor, and it would be nice to remove cyclists from the other traffic going up since we're going to be going uphill. But
I will say, I will add that I think that as our standards change, and if you're leading the thinking on reducing those buffers, that is something that we can retrofit in the future. That is, if we have the space, I think that we would certainly try to accommodate that. But right now, we've tried to improve the facilities above and beyond what is in both the sector plan and the MTP. And I hope you do see the efforts made throughout this site plan to improve cyclist safety and access. Thank you.
I absolutely do. Thank you so much.
Hey, Commissioner Lantelli.
Yes, thank you. And this also comes up at Planning Commission, and Planning Commission also says the same thing about the location of the bike lane. So it's two commissions that are pushing for this. Of course, I voted in favor of this at the Planning Commission earlier this week. Pretty much everything about this project is an improvement over the 2014 site plan approval or recommendation. So this was pretty much an easy vote. That said, and along the lines of standards changing, this is not for the applicant, but rather for the county. PUDO, this project has quite a number of PUDO spots, more than most, so that's good. But at the same time, you've also, I think, seen a letter from the relevant civic associations in Roslyn advocating for a more favorable look at porte cocheres. We have one at the hotel here. We also have one now up at the Air Force site, which I think are working well for the hotel and will work very well for the Air Force site. Even though our policy is to disfavor them, I think that's something we really need to look at again and not be so dogmatic against them. The growth of the need for PUDO from so many different uses now, and there's only so much curb space. I think in many ways it's probably safer to use a porte cochere, even though it adds a curb cut, which I fully agree that we want to minimize those. But the alternative, I'm just seeing so many more trucks, cars, double parked in the bike lanes for deliveries, for pickups. And it's just becoming pretty much out of control. It is a real problem in Roslyn, as the Civic Association pointed out. So I would simply advocate that we, as a county, not out of hand discourage porte cocheres, but add them to the toolbox. And there are some places where they are not appropriate, but others where we really would have them and they'd be improvement over what we have now. So that's my only comment on this. Thank you.
Chairman, I think you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Vice Chair Furman, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in addition to what I was mentioning before, just raise an overall approval for the overall plan. I think that the treatments, especially that are laid out for Nash and for Oak Street, are excellent in terms of what they've been thought out to be overall large improvements over what are currently there, right? And I think this project is a wonderful step in a positive direction. I think the removal of that slip lane is another great addition that has been brought up with this project, and I look forward to that being implemented. Yeah, there's a lot of positives to like with the overall project, so I wanted to commend the work that was done on this and generally say that I'm really glad to see so much thought went into it and that there are so many improved facilities for pedestrians and cyclists around this block as a result of this project. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wish I would have been able to hear everything. I feel kind of awkward even commenting until I'll have to rewatch the section that I missed. I think in going back to the PUDO, I think I haven't seen any county plans yet or concrete plans to, usually we're not like advocating for new technologies here on the Transportation Commission just for better road designs. But I think when it comes to PUDO, pricing the curb and some of the software and hardware that's out there would be especially beneficial in Roslyn. And I think I look forward to the county, you know, taking that up because there needs to be another layer of enforcement given the limited curb space and the increased deliveries and pickups. That's more for the county than the applicant, but overall, a lot of great things about this project. I think the best thing, even though it doesn't directly relate to transportation design, is having all the new residents. That's going to really animate that space and make it safer, make it livelier, and activate it because it's kind of a pretty dead block right now. And it's going to be excited to see this project back on the books. So I think unless Commissioner Lantelmi has his hand up again. Or is that from the older one? Who is, someone is raising their hand.
I'm Peggy Jones from Commission on Aging.
Okay.
Hello. I
Yes.
just have a question. They mentioned the units, the residential units, but they didn't specify if they had negotiated with the county for any senior units or ADA compliance units. So this might be not in your, this might not be something that you are at this stage, but I was just curious.
No, it's not also a Transportation Commission matter. It's more of a Planning Commission, but I'll let since you asked, I'll let the applicant respond.
Ms. Jones.
Sure they have the information.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jones, no, these are not going to be age-restricted units. These are going to be standard market rate units. And then there will be a certain number of type A units within the building as well that will be available for people with all abilities.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Jones.
We can't hear you, Mr.
Chair.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say, if there are no other Transportation Commissioners with questions or comments, we can move on voting on the two resolutions. So I don't know, Mr. Gibson or Ms. Obukoya, if you could pull it up for everyone to see.
Do you have it available? Rob, if not, I can pull it up.
I think it's sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Oh, I see.
All right. So this is the both the site plan amendment and the vacation on one slide. Okay, great. All right, we'll vote on the site plan amendment first. So I move to, let me think of the phrasing. I move to vote on the motion that reads as Transportation Commission recommends to the County Board to adopt a site plan amendment SPLA 26-0001 for SB number 429 to permit the construction of a mixed-use development consisting of 2 residential towers with up to 9.94 FAR, including 232,000 square feet of residential gross floor area and 28,908 square feet of retail gross floor area with modifications for additional density, reduced residential parking, percentage of compact parking, required residential loading spaces, density exclusions, and other modifications necessary to achieve the proposed development located at 1401 Wilson Boulevard and 1400 Key Boulevard. Can I get a second for that?
Second.
All right.
Who seconded it? I couldn't see who that was. Was it Casey?
Meg.
Meg, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just pulling up my spreadsheet. I had to close everything to restart. Just a second. Okay. All right. Well, I think we can get to voting. Commissioner Forrest.
Aye.
Vice Chair Furman.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussain.
Aye, sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Lane, tell me.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, in case she has joined us. Yes, no. Commissioner Ludlow.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Theo.
Aye.
Commissioner Traer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vanderpool.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 9-0. And I move to vote on the second recommendation, or the second resolution, where the Transportation Commission finds that the proposed vacations of a portion of North Nash Street at its intersection with Wilson Boulevard abutting PT lot. What does PT mean? Partial? What is that?
Part.
Part. All right. I'll start again. The resolution reads as Transportation Commission finds that the proposed vacations of a portion of North Nash Street at its intersection with Wilson Boulevard abutting part Lot 3 and Lot 14, Lot 13 and Lot 14, subdivision of lots east of A and B, Colonial Heights, and portions of existing easements for public street and utilities purposes on lots 1, 10, 11, 12, and 14, and part of lots 6, 8, 9, and 13, subdivision of lots east of A and B Colonial Heights are substantially in accord with the master transportation plan.
Seconded.
Thank you. Commissioner Forrest.
Aye.
Vice Chair Furman.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussain.
Aye.
Commissioner Lane, tell me.
Aye.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Theo.
Aye.
Commissioner Traer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vanderpool.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes unanimously as well. Thank you to both staff and the applicant for your presentations. Look forward to this being built.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And that concludes the item for us tonight.
Yeah. Our
Do we have
next
any-
meeting is, I'm looking up right now,
It is September 3rd.
September 3rd. Okay. We have a little bit of a break. Yeah.
Right.
And anybody have anything to report or any pressing matters? I see Commissioner Theo, you're joining the neighborhood Complete Streets, so that's good. Vice Chair Furman, we'll begin with you.
A quick update on Arlington Transportation Futures. There's no immediate ask from us, but we will see a little bit of additional outreach and opportunity in the next couple of months. I think Commissioner Hussain may have more that he wants to share on that front as well. But with our next meeting being in September, I think that there may be a request that that Commissioner Hussain and I have for you all before then, but we'll keep you appraised of what the next action items are. So thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Singh, see you have your hand.
Yeah, thanks.
Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
I think Adam. I think Commissioner Theo had his hand up. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, you're on a different page for me.
No worries. Yeah, just quick updates with the VHC Behavioral Health in Carlin Springs. That is still ongoing since the first meeting, which we talked about in our last Transportation Commission meeting. The email sent out by the SPRC lead just notes that the developers are taking in and digesting all the feedback that they've received. So that may take a little while, and then they will give another, probably a second SPRC meeting at that point. But until then, no updates. And I suppose if the neighborhood complete streets is official, then it looks like their next meeting is on Monday. So I will plan to attend that.
Great, thank you. I see Commissioner Trader's hand up, but I don't know if you wanted to say something, Commissioner Singh, or are you no longer saying?
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Trader, go ahead, and then I'll go after you, Commissioner Trader.
All right.
I'm going to be very brief. I not too much to report from the back, other than not this last. I think we actually ended up having 2 back meetings since we last met. I can't remember if I just didn't have a chance to mention it at the last Transportation Commission meeting, but nothing too important to report out from there, other than we had an interesting presentation from the Arlington County Public Schools TDM, and they had a not fantastic response to a question about essentially like the efforts that they're making to get people to mode shift. Their response was more or less like there's only so much that they can do for convincing people to get out of their cars when taking their kids to school or picking them up. It wasn't the best response. I think it would be worth a conversation in the future to get a good follow-up presentation about their long-term goals, how they fit into the broader vision in the county, and like specifically like Vision Zero and other things like that. So that I think getting a follow-up presentation in the future on safe routes to schools or something like that, I think would be very beneficial. That's all.
Sorry, Commissioner Trader, what group was that again that you just mentioned?
That was for the Bicycle Advisory Committee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that would be great, given I mean, especially since we started this meeting talking about South Carolina Springs, and there are, I believe, I don't know, some people have said 4 schools there.
Yeah.
In any case, there are a lot of schools on that road, and it's not a safe road. So
I tried to give him grace and say that like maybe you weren't expecting that specific line of questioning from the back, although I think that shows a little lack of preparation on their part. But I told them that I think that they should go back to the drawing board and be more prepared to answer similar questions in the future, because the things they were asking were of interest to the Transportation Commission as well. So I mentally prepared him for a follow-up, and I think it's worth putting it on the agenda in the coming months, or at least within the next year. So just putting that out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Commissioner Singh.
Sorry about that. Thanks. Yeah, I don't have anything to add on the transportation features. Vice Chairman Furman, you pretty much covered all that. On the climate action group, meetings are going well. Nothing transportation related, but I think the conversations we have had been about like climate hazards and equity and affordability. So I do encourage my fellow commissioners to kind of take a look at the advisory, the climate action plan, because I think that work is super important. While not always transportation related, quite important for humanity. So the comprehensive plan update is going well. I did miss the main meeting, but the meeting materials are on the website, and I think there are a few like open house pop-up events regarding the comprehensive plan. So folks can take a look at the comprehensive plan website for information about those pop-up events. And the last thing is from the Transit Advisory Committee side, I'm the representative for the 1401 Langston Boulevard site, and that's a pretty remarkably large project. I'm on the LRPC for that, and that's been very interesting. And again, I encourage folks to kind of take a look at that, because I think that project is going to be quite substantially important for the Roslyn neighborhood, because of just how large. It's a lot of units, a lot of potential, residents, a couple thousand new residents. It's going to be pretty transformational. So I think from a non-transportation perspective, that's a pretty important project. So lots of things going on, and that will be all that I have. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for all of those updates. Unless anyone has anything else to add, I think we can call it a night. Say no one else. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for accommodating the a week later the change in plan. It's very rare that neither the chair nor vice chair is able to be in attendance. I think that's the first time I know of that case in my time during the Transportation Commission. So I don't think that'll be happening anymore. I don't expect it to, but I'm glad we were able to have the meeting tonight. All right, Ms. Obukoya.
All right, that's all I have, except that, since we pushed the meeting a week back, we need to have our reports a week sooner.
Yeah.
than what
Yeah,
you-
well, they'll be ready for the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a
All
good
right. Have a
night.
good night, everyone.
Happy
Bye-bye.
summer.
Everyone.
Yeah. See you.
Thanks, y'all.
Good
Have a
night.
Everybody, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Obukoya.